Welcome to episode 85 of the Clive Barker Podcast. Clive Barker's First Tales. So, Jose and I talked about Clive Barker's First Tales, and that book's been out for a few months. But Jose and I finally both each had a copy, so we were able to talk about it together. So I need to apologize a little bit in advance for this episode. I was pretty under the weather and feeling kind of down because I'd been sick all day. Joey's been sick. I'd been sick for days, and Joey was sick for a week, and I've been missing work, taking care of him, and being sick myself. And anyway, I was not typical upbeat, I guess, podcast personality that I usually am. And Jose, I think, was trying to make up for it. But anyway, you'll probably hear some of that. But yeah, Clive Barker's First Tales. Oh, and the podcast raffle. So Clive Barker. This is episode 85, Clive Barker's First Tales. But before we get into that book, we have some news to talk about. And a lot of this is thanks to Rob Ridenour, who has done such a huge job of putting news posts on our blog.
Yeah. He's been doing a great job. I mean, I've known him for a long time, since I was in the old Hellbound web forums. Yeah, we've been chatting over the years, and recently added him again on Facebook. And so, yeah, it was cool. I mean, we were talking about Clive Barker and the podcast website, and I think you proposed, do you want to, do some blog posts for us and become a contributor?
Yeah.
So, amazing. He's been doing a lot of stuff. We are a real news site now.
He's kept up on every little bit of Clive Barker news, and this one looks like a little rumor, but it seems to be pretty credible. That there's more rumors about the Imajica TV series, and remember that somebody had asked Mark in Twitter on our last episode. We talked about this. Mm-hmm. Someone had asked Mark Miller in Twitter about this, and he said, "All I can say is that we're in talks." So this filmmaker Josh Boone sort of spilled the beans on Kevin Smith's podcast, which is called Hollywood Babylon. And I didn't listen to that podcast, but apparently he talked a lot more about it. So it seems that things are looking pretty positive, and this is more than just an idea right now.
That is exciting. I mean, I'm not one to get really excited about Imajica being developed for like movie or TV, but it can work. At least for TV, I'm open to the idea because TV would provide it with more space to develop the story.
Yeah, I think that would be perfect. And we've talked about this on a lot of episodes that hit Clive's bigger books like this and Weave World and the books of the art. Mm-hmm. They need this. They need the space to be able to breathe and tell the story at the pace that the book is.
Yeah.
If you cut it short or truncate it or try to make it more exciting and I don't know. I think that would ruin it.
Sure. When you start cutting out things, again, I think I said this before, but when you start cutting out things, you just start cutting down the story.
Yeah.
And for some stories, it makes it tighter, but for a book like Imajica, I think it just makes it poorer. But it depends. I mean, let's see.
And there were people that somebody had said that it would need to be HBO or because that book is so like X-rated or whatever. But you look at the shows that HBO does, and even like The Walking Dead. I mean, that's pretty graphically gory. I mean, it's not a lot of sexual stuff, I guess.
Yeah, but that's on AMC, right?
Yeah. I mean, they just don't have to zoom in on on people's body parts, and I think they can imply probably as much as they want. It seems.
Yeah. Well, this guy Josh, this filmmaker Josh Boone, he spilled the beans on the recent podcast of Kevin Smith's Hollywood Babylon.
Yeah.
Which we actually Rob Ridenauer posted this on November 19th on our blog, so you can go there and there's a link to the interview.
Yeah. So I'm interested to listen to that too, but I don't know how much more he gave away other than that he's working on it.
Yeah.
Which is, more than we knew before.
Sure.
And, and it's easy to get really excited about this, but, it's also really easy to get let down when these things don't happen. So
I know. I mean, we've done plenty of episodes about projects that never were.
Yeah, there are a lot more.
There
are a lot more of those than there are projects that did happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I mean, the special effects and everything, they're so far developed that it's possible to do a good Imajica adaptation, I guess.
Yeah. So Steve, you remember Steve Dillon had a petition out there to get the rights to screen the Nightbreed director's cut in Australia.
Yep.
And now apparently he's gotten those rights. I think he talked to whoever he needed to talk to. I don't know if the petition helped or it didn't. I kind of feel bad I didn't sign it because I thought that would sort of tip it off that Nightbreed had a lot of value and make them want to raise the price, to sell the distribution rights. So I was kind of thinking that maybe we should keep it quiet about Nightbreed while they're doing their negotiating. But whatever Steve Dillon did, he got the rights to screen it. So congratulations. And now I'm sorry that I didn't sign the petition.
Amazing. I signed the petition. Awesome. It was okay. I mean, the petition only had a few hundred signatures, but hey, if it helps.
Yeah.
So he said, I just needed to share this with y'all. We were finally granted the rights to screen the director's cut in Australia. It's a return to Osmidian, as we screened the first one in Melbourne. Thanks to Occupy Midian for making it possible, and thanks to all our supporters who signed the petition and gave us support. So apparently there's going to be, he already put up a Possible.com fundraiser.
Oh.
So tickets are $25. You can order them through the Possible project page, which we will add to the show notes.
So if people pay in advance with Possible, then he'll have the money to rent the space for the theater and do his screening.
Yeah, makes sense.
I'm guessing. Yeah, that's great. So that's totally awesome because there's I think Australia, well, the DVDs, they're region 4. I don't know what Australia's, what is that, C or something? I have no idea for Blu-rays.
I think it was B. We talked about this on the last episode.
Oh, yeah, we did. You're right. Yeah, and you said it was B. Yeah, so that's awesome. Congratulations again, Steve Dillon. And he's a good he's been on our podcast before, and he's contributed to keep us going, and we really appreciate everything he's done.
Yes, he also interviewed Clive Barker once in the 90s, I think, or maybe late 80s.
Yeah. So this is another one of another one that Rob Ridenauer caught, and I didn't know anything about this, but Joe Avella is giving away a copy of the Nightbreed limited edition.
Yeah, I posted about this on Occupy Midian when it came out.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, and then I think Rob posted it on the blog.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It's pretty exciting. Yeah, we're gonna have something like that too, but I'll let you go through the news. Yeah.
So can you tell me who Joe Avella is? He says a comedian and filmmaker.
I honestly, I hadn't heard of Joe Avella until I caught this, because this was shared by Revelations, I think.
Oh, okay.
And that's how I saw it on Facebook.
Well, on his blog, it looks like he really loves the artwork for the Nightbreed comic.
Oh yeah, that's the thing I posted.
Yeah.
He had an official website, so he posted a lot of pictures from the comic books. Mm-hmm. And he told people that they should enter their email address and have a chance at possibly winning the limited edition set for free.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I might enter that, even though I have already one.
Yeah,
one copy, but who knows?
Yeah, awesome. So thanks. So jump on that. We'll have a link in the show notes, of course. And there's already a blog post thanks to Rob Ridenauer on our website, clivebarkercast.com. So next one, the Candyman soundtrack, you can buy it on vinyl, or it's going to be coming out on vinyl.
Right. It was announced on Instagram, I think, when it was announced.
Did we talk about this a long time ago?
We talked about this a few episodes ago. I think wasn't this supposed to be that honey yellow vinyl edition?
Yeah, gosh, I totally had forgotten about this.
Or am I mixing it up? I don't think so. This is One Way Static Records, and they're releasing. No, here it is. Okay, so here's the quote from One Way Static Records on this release. It says, "If you order the Candyman limited edition yellow vinyl exclusive, which is all sold out, from realclivebarker.com, good news from One Way Static Records. Check their site for cassettes and to see what vinyl records remain. A stunning soundscape by Philip Glass with liner notes from Clive Barker himself." And then they also had an update saying, "We got confirmation from the pressing plant that the vinyl will be ready by December 15. We'll keep a close watch on this and we'll keep you updated. Expect some variant pics as soon as we have them." So awesome. They're going to release the soundtrack for the original 1992 Candyman movie by Philip Glass, who's a great composer.
Oh, there's a long conversation on that post on our website between Dave and Rob.
Oh, okay.
About the liner notes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So going back to to that quote that you just read. Now I understand why people would want to buy vinyl, but why?
Sure, it's a collectible.
Why on earth would anyone want to buy a cassette?
For the same reason they would buy a vinyl, because it's collectible. It
is?
Yeah.
I mean, I understand vinyls are big and they've got a sound that's kind of neat and they have big square, artwork.
Mm-hmm.
But a cassette? I mean, I grew up with cassettes, and as soon as CDs came out, I dumped those things. I mean,
there's a lot of indie labels right now that are releasing mixtapes not only as digital downloads but also as cassettes.
Is that some kind of like hipster ironic thing to buy cassettes? I don't
I guess so.
I don't get it because that's like saying that that 8-tracks are going to come back or whatever.
Hey, you never know.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, why not?
Yeah,
it's just another form of. It's just for a collector.
Yeah,
you don't really think about those things. It's like it's there, you want it, you buy it. You don't want it, you don't buy it.
If you play a cassette enough, it wears out and it sounds horrible.
That's something you can say about vinyl as well.
Well, yeah, if you don't change your needle or whatever, I guess.
Sure.
So next one, Clive Barker narrates for Vault of the Macabre. So that's like a YouTube short story anthology, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He does the voiceover for The Cautionary Tale of Maudlin Monroe.
Monroe, yeah. So apparently this is an anthology of 4 short films, and it's supposed to be peppered with a dark sense of humor. Also doing voiceovers are Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, Adam Baldwin, and Larry Kenney. So this is written and directed by Darren Field. So it's on YouTube, so you can go there and check it out.
Yeah, I have not watched any of that yet.
Okay.
Oh, a Midnight Meat Train shipping update.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, I got my copy today of Midnight Meat Train.
So I think on a previous episode I had said that it was sold out, and that's not true. It was sold out on the Subterranean website, which they're like a reseller. They weren't the original publisher. So that was where I got confused.
There are also different editions for this book. Some are more limited than others. Maybe some of those are sold out. I have to check. I got my copy from Amazon. It cost me like $29 or something. But mine is not signed or numbered. Mine is just the regular hardcover.
Mine is some kind of a hardcover that's numbered and signed. It's like 88. Mine's 88 out of 450, and it has a dust jacket, I guess.
Pretty sweet. Mine is just a single hardcover. The hardcover looks like your dust jacket.
Yeah, and you showed me yours a little bit ago, and it looks like the size is the same. I think that
makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think that their shape and size are the same.
So what is the shipping update?
So it says the Midnight Meat Train Special Definitive Edition shipping status update. Over 70% of total customer orders for the book have now been shipped. We aim to have the remaining 30%, save for the oversized Ultra Deluxe Edition, which are still in production, shipped by November 20th.
Okay, so apparently there's an oversized Ultra Deluxe Edition.
Yeah, maybe that's like a box or a tray case or something
Probably.
like that. Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, that's nice, but that one I remember was really expensive. Was that like a $1,500, something like that?
Oh, actually, I can open up the Dark Regions page and tell you.
Yeah.
Okay, here it is. there are still copies available at the Dark Regions Press website.
Mm-hmm.
And it says here there's the $50, which is the one you have, limited hardcover, signed and numbered. There's also a Ultra Deluxe tray case signed hardcover.
$1,300.
There's a deluxe slipcased signed hardcover.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think there was a trade edition. That was a hardcover trade edition, like not a trade paperback, but a trade hardcover.
Right, that's probably the one I got.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, they don't even show it on here as an option.
No, they don't. It's weird. I got mine from Amazon, so I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so next thing, let's see. RealCliveBarker.com has been running low on Nightbreed. The Nightbreed limited edition, the Director's Cut limited edition, the RealCliveBarker.com has been selling them for $150, and with that you would get it autographed by Clive Barker. He either signed the box or signed one of the posters for you, and you get 2 posters, and they're running low on them.
Yeah, the 149 package, yeah.
Yeah, and they only had 300 to start with, and they're unnumbered. They're not...
Just if you're a collector, just be sure to know that this package with the deluxe edition of Nightbreed, Director's Cut, is not numbered. Okay, This is not part of the 10,000 deluxe limited edition that Scream Factory put out.
But the chances of getting an autograph on this are going to be hard. It's going to be tougher to get.
This package, all of the deluxe editions, are also signed on the box by Clive Barker.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, and that's going to be tougher to come by. So that's that reason. And plus, these posters are unique. You get the Nightbreed one, which is the moon on the Midian Gate, the one designed by Christian Francis. And then you get this felt Cabal one, which is like Cabal's face drawn by Clive Barker.
Mm-hmm. And hand flocked in black velvet and glued on a red background. So it's really nice. Yeah, we got some of those when we went to the Crest Westwood screening. They're really beautiful.
Yeah, I mean it's $150, but if you can swing it, that's $149. But if you can swing it, it's totally worth it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So as far as the site news goes, we're finally ready now to do our 4th fundraiser drawing. So finally, we've been talking about this forever and about what the prizes are. These are the prizes, of course, that are donated by Seraphim.
Mm-hmm.
So we can just go ahead and get started. We'll start with the Everville poster.
Okay. That comes straight from your personal collection. So
yes. Yep.
Thank you for parting with this poster.
Oh, yeah, no problem. So we'll see. We've got, I think, 10 names in this ticket in this thing, and we're drawing 7 things, so you've got a really, really good chance of winning something. And this is David Anderson. I got to make sure he didn't get one of these already. I don't think so.
He got something in one of the first drawings or something?
I think he got a Cabal Cut poster. Okay, well, yeah, congratulations, David, and I'll send that over to you.
And thank you very much for supporting us.
Yeah, thanks for supporting us, for sure. Okay, next thing is the other Jaqueline S. promotional bag. And that is Adam Kruse.
Hey, Adam.
All right, so we'll send that right over to you.
He also got a poster for Razorline in one of the previous drawings.
Okay, so this one I want to remind people, this is the T-shirts. So I do want to remind people that if this isn't going to work for you, just let us know and we'll put your name back in the thing and we'll give away the shirt. Yeah, we'll give away the shirts again next time.
Right, because these shirts are large size.
Yeah. Okay, so large size T-shirt that's got a Clive Barker painting on it is Johanna Turner.
All right, Johanna Turner. Thank you very much and congratulations. So. Which T-shirt do we have 2? We have one with what was the name of that character? Finnegan Hobb or something?
Yes, right. And then the other one has got
a mandala.
Yeah, exactly. So this would be probably the Finnegan Hobb one, and then we'll draw for the mandala one right now.
All right. This is for the mandala T-shirt.
Yeah, and that's Kip Jankowski.
Hey, Kip.
All right.
Congratulations. All right. I see a lot of familiar names popping up, and it's amazing because these guys are people who interact a lot with us on Facebook, and it's nice to be appreciated.
Yeah. And then the next one is a Boom Studios Hellraiser and Nightbreed bundle. So you get Nightbreed 1 through 4, which at the time that they donated, that was the entire Nightbreed collection.
Mm-hmm.
And Hellraiser Annual 2013 and Hellraiser Bestiary number 2. And that Bestiary number 2 is signed by Mark Miller and Ben Mears.
That's quite a catch. Let's see who wins this one.
Yeah, here we go.
That's a nice bundle.
And this is Elena Degarmo.
Yeah, awesome. She also won the Pyramid Gallery box in a previous drawing.
Oh, yeah, wow.
And we met her at the Crest Westwood screening.
Yeah, that's right. That was
Congratulations,
cool. Yeah,
Elena.
She was sitting not too far from Bradley Gartz. I think maybe another row back. Okay, so Age of Desire hardcover is the next one. And this is, we'll see who gets this one. That's the Tim Bradstreet.
P. Craig Russell.
Yeah, P. Craig Russell adaptation of the Clive Barker story in comic book form, and it's a hardcover, black and white comic. And that is Adam Kruse.
Hey, congrats, Adam. You got another one to read.
Yep, and it's going to come wrapped up in a Jaqueline S bag. Okay, and then the last thing is the autographed Chiliad A Meditation hardcover. So signed by Clive Barker and donated by Seraphim again, just like all this other stuff.
Chun, 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 chun.
Yeah, let's see who gets this one.
This is exciting because this is signed by Clive Barker.
Yeah. And this is Rohrer. Actually put his name in the very first drawing, and we've missed him every single time, but now he's gotten this. But now he's won one of the grand prizes, so congratulations.
All right.
I haven't heard from him in a while, so I hope you're listening because we need your contact information so I can get that out to you.
Yep. See that you didn't win, but we kept your name in the bowl, so eventually you did. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, and I hope I pronounced your name right. It's Ursrohrer. Yeah. All right. So that's it. We got through part 4 of the and we're gonna have one more drawing. And it's going to be stuff that some of our listeners have donated, and that should be it for a while. And that one I think we're gonna have Books of the Tribes. I think 3 of those. Soft cover. Yep. Originally he was going to give download codes, I think, for the ebook version, but now he's giving away soft cover editions, which is really nice because now there's shipping involved, which is costs money, especially from Australia.
Sure.
Yeah, and then and Rob Ridenour is giving a limited edition of Nightbreed. And
yeah, we got to do a special episode for that raffle. Yeah. That's going to be an amazing prize.
Yeah, exactly. And that's huge because right now people are having a hard time finding it. It shows up on Amazon and it disappears on Amazon. The price goes up and down.
It's probably running out pretty fast. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's also people that have ordered it that didn't get it for whatever, for various reasons. And so it's getting tough to get. And I've seen where people are trying to sell it on eBay for over $100.
Oh, yeah. That there's going to be scalpers and speculators. Yeah. When they announced it first, it was going to be limited to 5,000 copies. Mm-hmm. And they started selling out really fast. Someone at the Blu-ray.com forum said, well, this is probably going to end up on eBay. A lot of people are probably buying, because this was limited to 2 copies per customer.
Yeah.
Right? To avoid people hoarding them and then, putting them on eBay for high prices.
Yeah.
And then when they raised it for 10,000, a lot of people complained, but some people were like, hey, now all the scalpers who, were planning on making a lot of money aren't going to make so much money anymore.
I'm a little dubious of the people who complain about that. I mean, I didn't buy this so that it would be something valuable. I bought it because I wanted to see it because,
sure.
It was important. It was the culmination of what everything Occupy Midian did.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean,
I would be happy if they could sell 1 million copies of it.
Absolutely, yeah. And if they could put it on other regions as well. I mean, that will eventually come. We know almost for a fact that people are working on bringing this movie to other regions. So
yeah. I mean, the fact that Steve Dillon was able to talk them into letting him screen it.
Sure, in Australia, that's a big deal.
Yes, it probably means that they're still open to the idea of doing a Blu-ray.
Of course, and there's probably going to be digital versions as well, because you already can find it on an instant video for Amazon and iTunes. Although I think they're not available for other regions other than the United States at this point.
Right. Yeah, so far we haven't heard one person that was able to watch the download or streaming version on Amazon.
No, in fact, people from Australia have said that they can't even find it on instant video in Australia.
Yeah. Well, in iTunes that makes sense because you have different stores in different.
And that too, yeah.
But Amazon, I don't know. I didn't really understand how people can't do it. I mean, you go to Amazon.com. What happens when you try to buy the digital version? I'd be curious to find out. If anyone knows, if anyone's tried it, let us know. We'll discuss it on our next podcast.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess that's it for news. So Clive Barker's First Tales. This was published this year, right? Early this year. I mean, it was originally meant to come out in January, and then it got pushed to like February and March.
Yeah.
And I think it ended up coming out in like June.
Sure, I got my copy from Seraphim, actually. I got my copy from Seraphim.
Me too.
Because when we went there...
yeah, right, I know what you mean.
Right, I mean, when we visited Seraphim office, they gave us a big tote bag full of stuff to raffle for our fundraiser. And so they were like, you guys can keep whatever you want and raffle the rest. And I was like, okay, well, you had First Tales. And I did not at the time, so since this book is sold out right now, I was like, well, I guess this is my copy.
Yeah.
Really enjoyable. I started reading it when I was in the bus coming back from Los Angeles, and I finished reading it recently. I loved it. It's very, very nice. It's like walking through a little time machine and going back to that fascination.
Yeah. Did you reread The Wood on the Hill before you did the Candle in the Cloud?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. I did that just to get the whole experience of the book. I mean,
because I've read that story several times already, and I did go through the story. I did go through the pages because there's a lot of illustrations, and some of them are made by. I think, are they all made by Clive Barker?
I think yes. Yeah.
Yeah, because some of these illustrations are signed Clive Barker.
Yeah.
Especially the one with the big spider. Clive Barker, 1971, on the first Wood on the Hill story. That's another extra for this book. It's got a lot of nice. Well, not a lot, but it's got some nice illustrations here.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I thought it was a return to form, or rather, like I was saying, it was like stepping into a little time machine. And going back to a time when Clive Barker was, I think this was 1971. So he was 19 years old when he wrote Candle in the Cloud.
Yeah. And the Candle in the Cloud, and so for people who don't know, this book has a short story, The Wood on the Hill, that he wrote when he was young. And then it has The Candle in the Cloud, which is he wrote as a 19-year-old. And tried to get published, and almost got it published.
Here's the funny thing. Before he began university, he did a first draft of Candle in the Cloud, and the original title was The Company of Dreamers.
Yeah.
What's interesting is Clive wrote its final draft in longhand. I'm reading from the authorized biography, The Dark Fantastic.
Yeah.
He wrote his final draft in longhand in one of his father's BICC wiring installation notebooks.
Yeah.
He also had a short story in the same folder that was labeled The Company of Dreamers, with other manuscripts of the story, including an early draft of The Candle in the Cloud, and a short story written in pencil called The Three Red Sails.
Yeah.
Which I think we never even heard of this one, and I don't even know if he still has this anymore.
Well, and I thought that in Phil and Sarah's book, it made it sound like Three Red Sails was a short story that eventually became The Company of Dreamers. So it was like the Three Red Sails and another story called The Last Horseman were sort of combined to make The Company of Dreamers, which then later became The Candle in the Cloud.
There we go. Another piece of the puzzle solved.
Yeah.
So what's interesting is that this book, Clive Barker's First Tales, Clive Barker dedicated it in the frontispiece. He says, "This book is dedicated in all editions worldwide to Mark Allen Miller and Ben Mears." The original manuscript of The Candle in the Cloud, was dedicated to Julie, Sue, Ann, Lynn, Phil, Doug, and Graham, being a book for you all. He dedicated it to all his friends from the dog company and friends who he used to hang out with. So I guess he changed the dedication for this edition, which is okay, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's a dedication for the whole book, not for The Candle in the Cloud.
That's true.
Yeah. But yeah. It was an awesome book. It was really fun to read. And actually, I mean, we won't talk too much about The Wood on the Hill because we've already done that in another episode.
Mm-hmm.
But kind of jumping into The Candle in the Cloud, I thought it was a little bit refreshing to see that Clive Barker could write something that was a little bit derivative. You know what I mean? It was kind of nice to see that he's not as perfect a writer as we think sometimes. Like he had a start. So
sure.
I see so much Tolkien and
C.S. Lewis.
C.S. Lewis, in this.
Yeah,
for sure.
The Horsemen.
Yeah, they're totally
the Nazgul from Tolkien, right? I mean,
the Ringwraiths.
Yeah, the Ringwraiths.
Mm-hmm. And the main characters were similar to the characters in Chronicles of Narnia.
Oh, I've never read those, but I'll believe you. For example, Darath, the wizard. I kept thinking about the Hobbit movie. I kept thinking about Radagast the Brown.
Yeah, right. Didn't they live in? Well, they lived in the woods, and
he had a bunch of animals inside with a lot of books in a little cabin in the middle of the woods.
And he had another wizard friend that wouldn't talk. But Durak, and that was the wizard that wouldn't talk was Michaelmas Wake Robin.
Exactly. He forgot how to talk.
Yeah. And the characters were Graham and Colin, and
Gwen, the sister.
And Gwen, yeah. So Colin and Gwen were brother and sister, and Graham is sort of the main character. And he's 15 years old, and Gwen and Gwen is or Colin is 17, and Gwen, I don't think they say how old she is.
Very, very interesting. I don't know if we should go into spoilers because it's such a little magical book.
No, we can kind of go into the setting of it. I mean, I think this is sort of a crossover from our world into another sort of a dream world. Mm-hmm. It's a real world, but originally this story was called A Company of Dreamers, and he played with the idea of people being able to dream their way into another world, and kind of a Clive Barker staple. I guess. Yeah.
In this book, the author's note reads, and this was penned by Clive Barker in last year. It says, "These two stories represent the two essential structures of fantastique literature. The Wood on the Hill is about an incursion of unearthly elements into an approximation of our world. The Candle in the Cloud is about a journey taken by people from our world into another reality. Yin and yang, if you like. Yeah. Forces pulling in opposing directions but to achieve the same end. Revelation." Basically, those are the two different, setups that you can create a fantastique story. So in the first story, it's a Duchess, and the Duchess kind of seems like a fantastic character, right? I mean, I think she's supposed to be the more mundane, where the otherworldly does the incursion because the wood is haunted.
Yeah.
In the second one, which is a little longer, of course, that's when people from our world cross over into a fantasy world. And that's what Clive Barker does best, I think. Yeah,
and it's a fantasy world where these characters are important, and they're the only ones who could save the world. They're given a candle, and throughout the course of the story, they're supposed to find out, what they're supposed to do to stop the darkness, this cloud. It's like they call it the maggot cloud. And Elsraul Hayam, I think, he was a wizard a long time ago that was summoning demons, and he didn't care about maintaining the balance. He summoned so much bad stuff that this crack opened up in the world, and this horrible maggot cloud thing came out and started trying to eat the sun.
This novel almost became Clive Barker's first published work. It says here on the Dark Fantastic, on a whim, Clive submitted a typed manuscript of the novel to the prestigious Bodley Head, and they damn near bought it, according to his words. An editor responded very positively, but requested certain changes in the text. I was about to go into university, Clive says, and I just wasn't up for it. He wrote back asking the publisher to wait until it was integrated into the rhythm of university life, but he soon lost interest in the book, which is something Clive Barker does. I mean, he gets absorbed by a project, completes it, and then moves on to the next one.
Yeah.
Could have been a published author at the age of 19 or 20, but that just wasn't meant to be.
Maybe he wasn't thrilled with the changes they wanted him to do.
Probably, could be.
Yeah.
They compare this book to the realms of E.R. Edison, who wrote The Worm Ouroboros, and Peter Pan, which I can see that, yeah. I actually am, I got a copy of E.R. Edison's The Worm Ouroboros, so I'm looking forward to reading that because that book appears a lot in this dark fantastic, especially referenced in Clive Barker's early years.
Really?
Yeah, so I'm curious. I got a copy of the book, so I'm going to read that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, this book is mainly The Candle in the Cloud because The Wood on the Hill doesn't take up a whole lot of space. It's not a very huge book, and it was previously published. So this was the big deal, was The Candle in the Cloud, which is really Clive Barker's first book ever.
Sure. Yeah. And actually, from the Dark Fantastic, this was the first place where The Wood on the Hill was published. This book was the first time that they actually... I should probably look at both texts and see if there's any differences between the two.
Oh, yeah.
I'm curious to know if anything was edited between this book, The Dark Fantastic, and the first Tales book. It's interesting.
In The Wood on the Hill?
Yeah.
That's a good point. I mean, because who knows which manuscript they used, just trying to translate something that's handwritten.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. So we were having a conversation about this earlier that, as we were going to be doing this episode, we wanted to direct people to a place to buy First Tales, and you can't.
Yeah, it's sold out. It's actually sold out. Actually, I'm looking at the websites right now. They were sold originally by 3 different outlets. One was, of course, realclivebarker.com, the Clive Barker store. The other was Subterranean Press. And the other was Camelot Books. And guess what? I'm looking at the website. Subterranean Press says trade edition sold out, limited edition sold out.
Yeah.
And Camelot Books says the same thing. This was actually the first self-published book by Clive Barker under the brand Seraphim Ink. And there used to be an audiobook that you could get from realclivebarker.com. You could download the audiobook of this for free.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the book is no longer available on the website realclivebarker.com, and it's sold out. And all the mentions of this audiobook were pointing to realclivebarker.com. So if you didn't get it, I have no idea where you guys can get a copy of that.
Yeah. I mean, since they self-published it, if it was a money-making endeavor, maybe they'll come back again.
Sure.
Just have to keep watching out for it. But yeah, I mean, I definitely recommend it. It was a really neat story to read, and I particularly liked. I liked the ending, and I appreciated the contrast between the sort of dreamlike fantasy that they're in and the horrible world of the maggot cloud. And I just thought it was really, really neat and interesting to read. And despite what I said about it, obviously having its roots in Lord, Clive Barker's fascination with Lord of the Rings and with the Chronicles of Narnia, I think it's still very, very Clive Barker.
Another thing is that The Wood on the Hill, it was supposedly written when he attended Quarry Bank Grammar School. And the Dark Fantastic lists it at 1966, which would make him 14 at the time.
Yeah.
So that would be 14 for The Wood on the Hill and 19 for The Candle in the Cloud. Although here in the Subterranean Press, or actually the Camelot books, it says... Clive Barker's Seraphim Ink is a book that contains 2 original stories of fantastic fiction penned by Clive when he was a young man of 17. I guess they went for the middle ground between 14 and 19.
Oh.
But I think the more accurate thing is that The Wood on the Hill was from 1966 and The Candle in the Cloud was from 1971.
71, yeah, at least in its final version.
And it says also here that The Wood on the Hill was inspired, I'm reading again from The Dark Fantastic, which is a really awesome book. People need to read this book. It says here that The Wood on the Hill was inspired by a favorite story, Edgar Allan Poe's The Mask of the Red Death, and by Clive's sadness about the loss of his first tree.
Yeah.
So that's some of the influences behind that story, which most people won't even know about it unless they read this book.
And you can totally see the Mask of the Red Death, and I think we've talked about that before on The Wood on the Hill. But and I think that's also my favorite Edgar Allan Poe story.
I feel like I need to read this paragraph as well because it's so touching. On Oakdale Road, the back of the Barkers' terraced house was paved concrete, about 100 square feet in size. When the family moved to their new home on Rangemore Road, young Clive was delighted with its back garden, green with grass and a tree. And then it quotes Clive Barker saying, "This sounds hopelessly melancholy in a way, but the having of a tree was a big deal to me. We were moving to this place where there was green, and we had a tree." His parents decided, for reasons now forgotten, that the tree had to be removed. So the tree comes down, and I'm furious at this. And that sparked this idea of the story of a woman who plots against nature and who is, in turn, plotted against. Another, insight on the story. Beautiful, because, of course, Liverpool was an industrial city, and I've grown up in a city that was kind of a tourist trap, so it's always big buildings and big skyscrapers all around, and I never really got to play in the countryside unless when I visited my grandparents' farm. And that was nice. I mean, that played a huge role in my appreciation of nature, so I understand Clive's attachment to the tree.
Yes, yeah, and we had talked about that a little in our last episode too, just about that idea of the tree and his parents cutting it down.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I could totally understand. I could totally see that, and and the forest being sacred and the trees being sacred.
Absolutely. Of course, my opinion of The Candle in the Cloud was, again, it reminded me a lot of. You can tell there's an underlying thread that connects some of Clive Barker's early works, especially Maximilian Bacchus and his Traveling Circus, The Candle in the Cloud, even the first one, The Wood on the Hill, and Aberrat, and even Imajica in some points, because it's such a fantastic world that he creates, but he has a distinctive brand of characters that he populates them with, like Giraffe and Wake Robin, the Black Wolf, Lord of the Northern Marches.
Yeah,
all these characters that he populates this world with, they're all completely, I don't know how to say.
Oh yeah, like Marius and Montgomery, the two guys in the odd air balloon.
Yes, they're kind of campy and they're kind of silly and they're like scientists on a balloon and they complete each other's sentences. It just reminds me a lot of like the characters from Aberrat, or the characters from Maximilian Bacchus.
And there was a quote actually that totally made me think of Aberrat on page 69. This is the beacon, right? Which is like a kind of like a tower with a beacon that you light up at the top, and somebody says,
lighthouse.
Yeah, it's a lighthouse. Somebody says, "Is the beacon still lit?" And they say, "No, there's no reason to light it. And there never will be. Eventually the sea will recede completely, and this place will be left in the middle of the dunes." So a lighthouse out in the middle of nowhere where there's no sea, I mean, that comes back again in Aberrat. Yeah,
exactly. Wow, that was a great catch, Ryan. Exactly, because the place where Candy Quackenbush escapes from, was it the Chris? No, it wasn't the Criss Cross Man. It was the guy that was missing a foot in Aberrat. I forgot his name.
Oh, yeah, right. Otto Houlihan was the assassin that came after him.
But anyway, she escapes. She finds a lighthouse in the middle of the Minnesota, right, in the middle of the countryside.
Yeah.
And that's where she summons the Sea of Isabella. Wow, that was a great catch there, Ryan.
And I think, she lit something, or did she sometimes lit the beacon and called the sea? Or?
Yeah, she threw a ball into a basket or something.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's what it was.
A small bowl or something, and then so wow, that's a great catch. Yeah, an island in the middle of the sand. That's what they say here.
I thought that was pretty cool. I mean that idea comes back, and he does have some recurring themes for sure.
Mm-hmm.
The only other note that I really wrote, that was right, a quote right out of the text was, "Suddenly the sun broke above the edge of the maggot cloud and flooded the world with light." I love the contrast just in that one sentence.
Absolutely. This one also is a very rich, very flowery prose, which I think it's very distinctive of Clive Barker's early works and early books, where I used to tell my friends that I like Clive Barker because his prose reads almost like poetry.
Yeah.
And this one, absolutely. I mean, it's just like that.
Yeah.
And even some words are very British. Even some expressions are very British, You can't help but thinking in this first chapter here called In the Brambles, where he's talking to his mother, where Graham is talking to his mother.
Mm-hmm.
And he depicts these scenes of domestic activity, like Graham's mom is telling him to put an anorak on if he's going outside because it's cold.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he has to throw the peelings on the garden and stuff. And you can't help think that probably that happened to Clive when he was younger, and his mom was
sure, yeah,
telling him to go outside, and his dad Len was like probably sitting in the living room.
Yeah, and that just even that word anorak is like, wow, that's not a that's totally a British word.
It is, and mum spelled M-U-M.
Yeah,
it's interesting now that I'm looking at this. In the Dark Fantastic, the wizard is called Daraf, or referenced as Daraf in the text, but here in the book he's called Darak. Interesting. I wonder if that was a change from a different manuscript, or if that was just a problem with the Dark Fantastic.
I don't know either. Yeah, it's Darach in this edition.
Yeah. And also another very British thing is that there's a queen.
Yeah.
Like the first book has a duchess.
Yeah.
The second story has a queen. I mean, he did like a play called Paradise Street, where the queen appears as well. And in this case, an actual historical figure from England.
Mm-hmm.
And in this one, it's a more fantastic queen, but still, you can't help but think that he got influenced by being a subject of the crown,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It also reminded me a little bit of the beginning of The Thief of Always, because it starts with a kid that's doing something very mundane, it's cold. I know Harvey Swick is devoured by the great beast February.
Yeah.
And, it's winter for him. So,
yeah.
And this one starts in a cold day in early January as well.
And doesn't he he breaks a glass?
He steps on the lettuce or something.
Yeah, it's like a glass frame around a plant or something, and he breaks it and cuts himself. And
it's like a little greenhouse thing or something.
Yeah.
And he also gets in touch with the fantastic through this small creature that's humanoid, doesn't really speak much, but of course in Thief of Always that guy speaks a lot.
Yeah, right. Well, but it is similar. I mean, it's about somebody in their boring normal life getting pulled into this fantastic world where they can make a big difference.
I really enjoy that. So he finds this candle, and then of course the candle is very beautiful. It's depicted as having 3 eyes with rays coming out of them, and it's filled with gold. Those designs are carved into the candle, and they're filled with gold. Mm-hmm. Very nice. I would like to see a depiction of that.
There's also an interesting part in the middle of the story where Colin almost convinces all 3 of them that the world that they're living in isn't real and that they can explain everything away using science. It was something about
the stars.
Yeah, right. The stars are not just pinholes in the night, that they're suns like our stars. And there was something about the candle, but what if the candle is just a regular candle? And what if that the maggot cloud is just a cloud of poisonous gas?
Yeah, or like volcanic in origin, like this island that came to be off the shore of like England, I guess.
Yeah, and it was like, well, then we're just going off to die for no reason, and we can't make a difference.
Well, as we're going in, I'm going to say spoilers here, and I'm going to go into some spoiler territory because I want to reference 2 points in this book that I really enjoyed. Mm-hmm. This is really going to be spoilery, and I apologize for that. If you don't want to listen to this, skip forward. One of the situations that I thought was very, very interesting was they're being chased by these knights that are made of shadow and mist. Okay, mm-hmm. The guys who kind of look like the Nazgul in a way.
Yeah, they call them the Horsemen.
Yeah. And so at one point they leave Darach's house. They decide to go out and enjoy themselves, and they go towards, the sea. They come across this field of buttercups, and they go like, hey, they jump in, they start running around making, little crowns of flowers. And then Clive puts this horseman right on the edge of the field looking at them. Mm-hmm. And this is one of the horsemen that's looking for them because he wants to kill these kids because they're supposed to be like the ones that are going to be able to defeat the cloud and whatnot. Yeah. And I think the depiction of the struggle between the kids and the horsemen is almost pathetic in a way because the thing is, it's such a beautiful day and the kids are having fun and there's flowers and the horseman is defeated by all this like beauty and light.
Yeah. It wasn't just the sunlight; it was the buttercups too.
Yeah, because Gwen goes over to the horseman and she says, "Oh, that's a cute horse. Can I pet it?"
Yeah, and everybody else is yelling, "Gwen, no! What are you doing? Come back!"
Yeah, and there's a lot of tension here. It depicts like the knight is putting his hand on his hilt and he's like drawing the sword real slowly, and Gwen's looking at the horse, and then all of a sudden the guy takes the sword out, tries to kill him, and he kind of trips over, falls off the horse, starts stumbling around the buttercups. He goes like, ugh, and he kind of dies without the kids actually doing anything.
Yeah.
And it's just to show that there is something to these kids. They're not just they're not going to be just kids. There is something important here.
Doesn't something like hit his sword and stop him from killing Gwen?
It could be. I don't remember that at the moment. I don't know what page that is. Yeah. So, and the other scene is when they find this palace on the edge of the darkness. And my God, that chapter is really beautiful. They find this castle built with almost like white stones that whenever the sun hits it, it becomes really shiny and stuff. And it's covered in like jewels, and they go in there and they find these murals and these mosaics and frescoes everywhere with people that have jewels for eyes, you know, and they're walking through this and they come across this stately room full of pillars where there's like a whole court of people are gathering to witness something. And what happens is this little prince or this little king comes down dressed in fine robes with a lot of jewelry, and he starts singing this song. They don't know what the language is, but everybody starts crying and smiling, and you can tell this is a really moving song. It turns out that this is the last of their people, and they're sitting there on this castle on the edge of darkness, about to be consumed by the cloud.
Yeah.
And it's very tragic that these people have given up on even escaping because they're very resigned to their fate. I guess there was something going on here apart from just, the feeling of helplessness or the feeling of the tragic thing. There's some kind of influence on these people, and they almost end up falling for that lethargic feeling as well on their way to defeating the cloud.
Well, and it's also kind of like that spell of forgetfulness that happens in Weave World. When you leave the Weave, when they leave the Weave, then and go back to the real world, it's almost like that fantastic experience just starts to fade away, and you don't remember. It just kind of reminds me of that too.
Or when Gentle becomes amnesiac in Imajica and has to find his way back.
Yeah.
To our world through making drawings of his memories from the time he spent in the Imajica, for example. In this case, yeah, and these kids drink a lot of wine in this book.
yeah, they do.
They do drink a lot of wine. Even Dirac gives them wine at one point.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting. So, yeah, those were some really, really exciting and very, very fascinating moments in the book that I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
I think if there's any shortcoming to this book, is that the ending comes really fast.
Yeah.
I thought that this book could have at least another 30, 40 pages, especially near the end. I think the book wraps up a little too quickly, which can be, attributed to Clive Barker being 19 at the time, and
Yeah, and this is a little spoilery, but when in The Thief of Always, when Harvey goes back home, you find out that no time has gone by. When he goes home the last time, right? You find out that no time has gone by, and he's able to get back into his life, and everything's okay. But you don't know, right? In this, you don't know what happens when they go home.
Right. It just says that it was a chilly winter's evening, and it was beginning to snow in Woolton. Which makes sense. I guess they probably didn't spend too much time in this fantastic world. Okay, they do find their way back to their world, to our world.
Mm-hmm.
But, of course, the kids want to go back, and they don't want to go. And that's typical Clive Barker. I mean, after you've gone through the fantastic, you don't want to go back to your mundane life. You want to embrace it and live there. Just like you want to live in the Imajica, just like you want to live in the Aberrat. And, ultimately that's what draws us into these worlds. It's the fact they're so beautiful. They're so well crafted.
Or hang out in the orchard of Lemuel Lowe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and then just have some fruit and listen to poetry and watch people dance.
Yeah.
I mean, who wouldn't want to live there, you know? Who wouldn't want to
Yeah.
live in the Weave world, you know, in the Fugue? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, it's short. It's his first novel ever, so, you know, you can't... not his first published novel, but the first one he ever wrote.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
It's
man,
so...
if you like early Clive, I mean, get this book, because somehow, I mean, it's sold out, but you can probably still find it in, you know, eBay or something. But get this book. It's beautiful. You will smile, you will cry, you'll feel moved, and you'll feel tension. There's this like you were mentioning that scene when they get stuck in the lighthouse and they get surrounded by the horsemen.
Mm-hmm.
And they're trapped and they're barricaded inside the lighthouse. It's such a tension-filled chapter.
Yeah, that was a really exciting part.
That was a really exciting part. I really enjoyed it. I was like, you know, kind of, it was a page turner for me.
Yeah. I'm looking up First Tales on Amazon just to see if it's there. Oh yeah, there's a Kindle edition and Audible audio edition for $0.
Oh, there you go. So people can get the audiobook from there.
And the Kindle edition is $4.99.
Oh my God, that's a good deal. I mean, if you're into the whole Kindle thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I definitely recommend it. I cannot recommend it enough. It's a fantastic book with two little stories that... Mm-hmm. The first story, now, you know, some people know more about it because it came out in the Dark Fantastic. So, but it was never compiled anywhere else that I know of. Yeah,
right. Not everybody has the Dark Fantastic.
Exactly. So, pick this book up. It's amazing. I got this edition that was a hardcover with a dust jacket. Once you take out the dust jacket, it's this beautiful red cloth-bound edition.
Yes.
So, amazing. Seraphim Ink 2013. Check it out.
Yeah, and geez, and if you can't get that one, the the Kindle edition's only $4.99.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, get that. At least get it until you can get the other one.
Yeah, I have this first edition. I don't think there's a second edition to this. And interesting, in the book, it says special thanks to Christian Francis for book design and to Russell Charrington, Phil Stokes, Sarah Stokes for archive contributions.
Yeah, awesome. Well, and Christian, I guess he did the layout of the book and the design of the cover and the design of the...
It was slightly different from what we initially saw in the realclivebarker.com website, but, you know, they did say at the time that the final product may vary.
Yeah, it's a great edition, and if you're a Clive Barker completist, definitely get it.
Yeah, somehow.
If you can. You know, we should have talked about this when it first came out, but... You know, there's a lot of exciting Clive Barker stuff happening this year, and we couldn't get everything all at the same time. But
oh yeah, and both you and I agree a little bit that we wanted to talk about the novels kind of in a chronological way.
Yeah, right.
It's interesting that this is like some of the early work that Clive Barker ever wrote, and yet it's one of his most recent editions.
Yeah. We had to take a little break there because we had just discovered a lot of differences between our two editions of the book. But yeah, totally recommend this. I think it's great. I mean, it was an awesome read, and it was really fun to discover something of Clive Barker's that I had not read. Absolutely. And it's been a long time.
It is. And since 71 and 66, these stories have made it to Clive Barker's readers finally. In 3 different editions, as listed by Clive Barker Info. There's the U.S. limited edition, which is limited to 26 signed lettered copies, which went for $500. There's the U.S. limited edition hardback, limited to 350 signed numbered copies. That was $125. And there was the U.S. trade edition. That was just a hardback edition for $45.
Yeah, and it's a short read, but it's really good.
Absolutely. So stay tuned for our unboxing video of Midnight Meat Train.
Oh, yeah.
That I recently got from Amazon. So
now you and I both have that, and Rob Ridenour also has it. Or he's ordered it. I don't know if he's gotten it yet. I can't remember.
I think he's getting it for Christmas.
Yeah. And our last episode was all like feedback and news and questions and stuff. And there was one from Paul Flewitt that didn't make it in time. We had already recorded by the time he wrote it. But he said he asked if we could talk about Scarlet Gospels because that was the thing he was looking forward to the most. It's kind of open-ended. I'm just excited about it. I don't want to go in trying to figure out what it's going to be about because I think it's probably gone through a lot of change and evolution. Uh-huh. So
since we first heard about it, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe Pinhead dies, maybe he doesn't. Who knows?
I've been almost actively staying away from stuff that talks about Scarlet Gospels because I don't want to spoil anything. Yeah. I don't want to get spoiled for the book.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see when it comes out. Yeah. Still a ways to go, but, looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. I mean, geez. That's going to be a huge deal. Anytime he writes something that's some kind of a sequel is big. And this is, it seems like there's kind of a split between the Clive Barker community and the Hellraiser community, and this is something that brings them all together.
Hellraiser and the Hellbound Heart kind of bridges this gap.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and hardcore Clive Barker fans love Harry D'Amour.
Absolutely, yeah. I'd love to see more about him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, I mean, I can't wait, but at the same time, it's going to be almost a year.
You have to approach this with the awareness that the Hellbound Heart had its own...
Yes.
Had its own continuity that the Hellraiser movies didn't really go into.
Yeah,
they went a different direction.
Yeah, and this was a little confusing when Boom Studios Hellraiser Comics brought Harry D'Amour in, and it made me. I texted Mark Miller and I said, okay, so Harry D'Amour is in the comics doing this stuff. Is this some things that might also be happening in the Scarlet Gospels? And he said, no. The way you have to think about this is that the comics have their own continuity, the movies have their own continuity, and books have their own continuity. So that means Scarlet Gospels is a sequel to Lost Souls, to The Last Illusion, to The Hellbound Heart, and to Everville.
Mm-hmm. So, hey, let's see what happens here. I'm looking forward to the Scarlet Gospels that's coming out from St. Martin's has scheduled a 19th May 2015 publication date as follows. And it's going to be 19th of May, 2015. It's going to be hardcover. It's going to be, if you're into this, it's going to be 6.13 by 9.25 inches, 352 pages long. It's going to cost $25.99. And they're also going to bring it out an audio CD with unabridged reading by John Lee, which is going to cost $39.99. Interesting. Looking forward to the Scarlet Gospels.
Yeah, so May is way better than winter. May 19th.
The weather is just starting to get warmer, so you could just sit outside and pick up your book, get a fresh glass of lemonade, and go to hell.
Yeah, my birthday is like 5 days after that, just throwing that out there for our listeners. Yeah, so cool.
I guess I know what you're going to get for your birthday present.
Yeah, actually, I probably will wait and see what Clive Barker, realclivebarker.com has. Get it autographed.
Sure.
Okay.
You can reach us on the web at www.clivebarkercast.com. Leave us a review on iTunes. We're on Podomatic, Xbox Music Store, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, Doubletwist, Blackberry, and Pocketcast. Like our page on Facebook and join the Occupy Midian group. On Twitter, we're at BarkerCast and at Occupy Midian. The forum is www.clivebarkerfans.com/forum. Opening theme by Colin Lakativa.